بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته and welcome to this very special interview with our favorite teacher Ustad Nouman Ali Khan. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair for joining us for this interview.
My pleasure.
And I really want to talk to you about how you plan to spend Ramadan, how you plan to prepare for Ramadan as well.
Okay.
So I'll start with the first question is, what's your definition of the purpose of Ramadan? What should we look out for and try to achieve in Ramadan?
Well, to me personally, my thoughts on Ramadan are inspired by the only passage in the Quran that deals with the subject. A little past the middle of Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah talks about the function, the purpose of Ramadan. And what I find probably the most inspiring in that passage, first and foremost, is that Allah did not describe this month as a month of fasting, nor did He describe it as a month of prayer. First and foremost, He described it as a month in which the Quran itself was revealed. So, and then when He described the Quran, He described it in a way as though He was first introducing the Quran, as though it's never been introduced before, right? And this is a Madani surah, which means the Muslims have been receiving Quran through the Prophet ﷺ for over a decade now, well over a decade. And yet Allah says, هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ, as though it's like Allah is telling us what the Quran is for the first time. So what that teaches me, at least, and I hope other Muslims too, is that you have to renew your relationship with this book almost as though it's you never knew it before, and you have to come at it anew. So it's a month of rejuvenating your experience with the Quran, so you can experience it like that first generation was taught to experience it all over again. That's the first and foremost thing. Like, this month should be a celebration of revelation itself. That's what it should be.
SubhanAllah, that's amazing. And based on that, what would be your most important goal for you personally to achieve in Ramadan?
So I study Quran throughout the year, but I turn it up a few notches in the month of Ramadan. My memorization goes up. I haven't finished memorizing the Quran. I'm working on it part-time, slowly but surely, but it goes on an accelerator in the month of Ramadan. I try to catch i'tikaf every year, and in i'tikaf I do a lot of review of Quran. For me personally, actually the act of memorizing Quran is not just the act of rote memorization, but actually when you recite the ayat over and over again, it gives you a chance to reflect on the word of Allah too, and to think about the same thing over and over again. And it brings about opportunities for insights, which I really enjoy. So that's one thing that's certainly a thing to look forward to in Ramadan. The other thing I really enjoy doing in Ramadan is the nightly Taraweeh prayers. But I will be honest with you, I don't, a lot of times I won't join the entire Taraweeh prayer, or I'll go to a masjid which actually takes it easier, because some masajid, unfortunately, their big goal is to finish the recitation of the entire Quran, and they rush through the recitation. And there are other masajid, alhamdulillah, in our area, there are some that actually take it easy. They won't recite a lot, but what they recite, they really enjoy reciting. And this month should not be about quantity, it should be about quality. There is no religious guideline that you have to finish the entire Quran. There's no such thing. That wasn't imposed, so we impose this on ourselves, right? And you find people that, they pray the 8 rak'ah and there's a mad rush outside of the masjid, just I got it over with, let me get out of here. But actually prayer is supposed to be this reflective, spiritual experience where you're enjoying the word of Allah in every rak'ah. And that's really something I hope to restore every year for myself in Ramadan, and I hope other people do too, inshallah.
Inshallah. You just mentioned now about just balancing your sort of energy levels, like for example, trying not to do too much in the first day, for example, trying to leave some energy for the last 10 days. Do you sort of structure the whole Ramadan that way? You try to sort of spread out your energy so that you can maintain momentum throughout the month?
I've one of my teachers, Dr. Akram Nadwi, has some pretty interesting insights on Ramadan and how you should spend your time in Ramadan, and I tend to agree with him. Ramadan is actually not supposed to be a time where you're not productive in everything else. Like, you're supposed to be as fruitful, as productive at your work and with business and education and everything else. It's not a time for vacation. In some Muslim countries, for example, people stay up until like Fajr almost, and they pass out until like 4 p.m. just in time for iftar and start all over again. They become like creatures of the night or something, because that's what Ramadan is supposed to be. That's silly. That's not the point of this month. As a matter of fact, the nightly prayers, they are just really a manifestation of tahajjud, right? That's what they are. So if you're a person, and lots of Muslims, of course, they have a struggle even with the 5 prayers, but if you're praying your 5 prayers but you're not good at tahajjud. This is the month to get into it. This is the وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. Even the ayah reciting the Quran in slow rhythmic tone is an ayah about the night prayer, right? And Taraweeh is actually supposed to be this exercise for the night prayer. So even if you don't catch the Taraweeh, but you actually get up for tahajjud, that's even better for you. That's even better for you. So like we have to shift our mentality about how we make the most use of Ramadan. The other recommendation I very strongly have for people is, if you didn't catch the Taraweeh prayers at night, but you went to pray Isha in a few rak'ahs at the masjid, and then you came back for Fajr at the masjid, that's way better for you than staying up until midnight doing Taraweeh and then barely catching Fajr or not coming to the masjid for Fajr. So you have to be realistic with yourself, right? What is a bigger priority? I mean, the Prophet ﷺ's instructions are true and we should believe in them. If you catch the prayer in the masjid at Isha and then at Fajr, it's as though you prayed the entire night. So that's his promise, right? So let's believe in that promise and especially get into that habit in this month. I personally believe, in my personal life and my friends and students, I recommend, if you can make a habit out of Fajr and Isha at the masjid, then you're just going to have a productive life. Allah is going to put some barakah in your life throughout your day, throughout your night. A lot of good comes of it. And then this is the month to get into that habit because you're going to go anyway. But don't overdo it in a way that you just totally can't sustain it after it's done, right? You want to use this month as an opportunity to instill habits in your life that you can sustain after this month is over. So that's how I see it.
You just touched on the word barakah there, and I want you just to touch on barakah and productivity, where you see those two linked about how the barakah of just fasting and being spiritual will sustain your energy of the day. So people think about, I'm fasting, I've got suhoor, there's no way I can be productive, but just understand the concept of barakah, how does that boost your productivity?
It's pretty amazing because fasting's tough, if you try to fast tomorrow, it'll be really hard. You're going to be dazed. You're not going to be able to focus at work. Things are going to happen. But what Allah says about Ramadan is pretty awesome. He says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. It's not a universal statement. It's actually intended within the month of Ramadan. Allah intends ease for you. In other words, the fasting in the month of Ramadan is actually easier than fasting any other time. And that's something Allah instilled into this month. It's special. So nobody's going to be able to say genuinely that they're having a hard time because of the fasting. As a matter of fact, you might even find yourself having more energy than you ever had. Now, if you don't find yourself having energy, then there are some other causes not to fasting. Now, what are those other causes? You're overeating at iftar. You're going to town at suhoor time. You're eating like 4 times the breakfast you normally eat. No wonder you're tipped over half the day because you're dying over how much you ate. The other half, you're dying over your starvation, right? So a balanced diet it's a big part of how productive you are. A balanced sleep schedule is really important. People have messed up sleep schedules in Ramadan. They're not supposed to have a messed up sleep schedule. They're supposed to have a normal sleep schedule in Ramadan. So maintain these things, take care of these things, and inshallah, it's not going to be a problem. Speaking of the word barakah, the linguistic meaning of the word is of increase beyond expectation, right? So the blessing of this month is that you're going to do work as you normally do, but you're going to find it being more result-oriented. It's going to bear more fruit. It's going to be more productive than you would expect it to be. People are trying to be productive anywhere. But the believer in Ramadan is actually expecting productivity above and beyond his own capability. There's actually this divine intervention of layers and layers of productivity over and above your own capability that you enjoy the blessings of just because you're in this month.
SubhanAllah. And people talk about, for example, difficulties of the fact that now in the summer, Ramadan's coming up in the summer, it's going to be hot during the day, the Isha will be very late, Fajr will be very early. How do you just, even psychologically, overcome that sort of mental difficulty, challenging, oh my God, I can't do it, or it's going to be very difficult, I'm going to be very busy. So what do you say to that? How do you overcome that challenge?
Sometimes we tell ourselves things that we think are rational, but they're actually just an excuse. But the more you think about it, the more, so our thoughts, I'll put it this way, in cognitive psychology, there are your thoughts and there are your emotions and there's your behavior. There are 3 things: thoughts, emotions, and behavior, right? And they're almost like 3 rings that are superimposed on top of each other. So when you're thinking a certain way, prolonged periods of time, it actually starts validating your emotions. You don't feel like getting up because the thoughts have now validated your emotions. Your emotions have become inflated, right? And as a result, it's now deeply impacted your behavior. So when you want to reverse this, the first thing you and I have to reverse is our thought process. Allah made this easy. This is going to be easy. No matter what the temperature is outside, no matter how long the day is, no matter what I think is going to happen or not, I know as a matter of faith, this month is going to be easy. Now when that happens, your attitude starts changing. Once your thought changes, your attitude changes. And once your attitude changes, the behavior becomes easy. But people, often when they ask, give me some tip I can do to make the most of Ramadan, give me something I can practically do. A lot of times it's actually, the behavior part is the last part. It's the thought process behind our behavior that has to be adjusted first. And behavior is easy. That's just easy,
Definitely. That's awesome, mashallah. Can we go dig deeper about Nouman Ali Khan's personal life, the routine? What's your routine like? What's your routine like during Ramadan? What do you sort of daily schedule, if there's a typical day?
A lot of people might know I'm a very public figure, and so Ramadan is probably the most private time I have.
SubhanAllah. Okay.
So a lot of the activities that I do for the community and public speaking, I cut all that out. I don't travel, I don't speak, I try not to do anything in Ramadan. Ramadan is more for myself. Especially the evenings are more for myself. So if I do something, it's during the day. I'll teach a course or something like that, just to feel like I'm still doing something. And it'll be like limited attendance. Instead of doing a program for 1,000 people or 500 people, it'll be like 20 or 30 people or something, and do it in a limited capacity, just so I'm still forcing myself to do something beyond just myself. But I do think that Muslims should balance the scale should tip more towards what you want to do for yourself to become a better person, and instilling better habits in this month. And yes, if you have time to do other productive things for your community, be engaged, etc., that's great. But really, this is the month for self-improvement. Really, this is how we should look at it. And that's why you have in this passage also, first of all, it's going to be easy. It's a month of celebrating Quran. And then ujibu da'wat ad-da'i idha da'an falyastajibu li. The passage turns to what you should personally be doing is turning to Allah more, right? So I ask myself, honestly, the way I spend any given day, not Ramadan, any given day, what could I have been doing better, right? What opportunities did I miss? Did I wake up too late? Did I rush through the prayer? Did I have breakfast on time? Did I get enough time to exercise, etc., right? And a good balanced day, if you can create balance in a day, then you can replicate that the rest of your life. And that means a good life. So to me, a good day actually translates into a good life. And a non-productive day translates into a non-productive life. Because really, at the end of the day, we recycle our days, right? A lot of our days, they go by, a week goes by and it feels like it was just a day because it's all the same over and over again, right? So if you instill certain habits on a daily basis, and this is the time to do it. Shaitan's chained up, the waswasa is gone, everybody around you is motivated. Allah has given special ease to you, empowered you in ways that you wouldn't be empowered before. So it's a time to instill good spiritual habits, good personal habits, good eating habits. Eat healthy. Don't eat oily stuff for iftar. Don't eat greasy stuff for suhoor. Cut that stuff down. Get into better shape. Unfortunately, there are some statistics in Muslim countries. Some Muslims gain the most weight in the month of Ramadan, right? Which is I can't fathom it. I can't understand it. So for me personally, that's what it's actually essentially and fundamentally about.
SubhanAllah, definitely. Now, you heard of the mid-Ramadan slump.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that?
I get it too. Everybody gets it. We're human. You get a slump. You're at something and it beats you up. Now that's when friends come in handy, and it's okay. You can accept a slump. It's okay. You can have a day or two that are down. We're human beings. We're not machines, right? But the point is to pick yourself. Recognize that it's a slump, and nobody's going to beat you up. You have to learn to beat yourself up. You have to learn to be tough on yourself and get back up on the horse. Okay. Instead of constantly waiting on somebody else to come and motivate. I feel unmotivated. Yes, you loser. You feel unmotivated. Why don't you call yourself a loser and become a winner again? Get up. We have the capability to be tough on ourselves. We just don't do it, right? We've become, unfortunately, I feel like too many people are obsessed with the idea of the pursuit of happiness, right? Which just means, ask yourself that. What does it mean, the pursuit of happiness? If I just had a lunch and I feel like doing nothing, I'm happy. That's not a high pursuit. It's not like a goal in life. I just played some video games. I feel kind of happy. Yeah. There should be higher pursuits in life, man. Have some grit. Have some toughness. So people that don't aim higher than just happiness, they don't accomplish things in life. Happiness is actually, to me, a byproduct of actual productivity in life, you know? So you're looking for a transformation. And the other thing I'll say here is about the slump that's really important. People compare themselves to others. That guy goes to the masjid every day. This person is, mashallah, look at this person. Look at what they're doing. They're doing work, they're doing school, and they're praying, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. Oh my God, I'm such a loser. And then your slump gets deeper. And the core problem isn't that they're a winner. The core problem is you're comparing yourself. No two human beings are the same. You have to compare yourself to me. I have to compare myself not to anybody else. I have to compare myself to myself from yesterday. That's it. Why was yesterday better than today? What did I do wrong? And you have to beat yourself at this game. That's what you have to do. It's a constant journey towards improvement of yourself. So if you can tell yourself, I did more today than I did yesterday. I'm doing better than I did yesterday. That's the winner, not what you're comparing yourself to somebody else with, you see? And that's actually an attitude that Muslims should adopt in life. عَسَىٰ أَنْ يَهْدِيَنِي رَبِّي لِأَقْرَبَ مِنْ هَذَا رَشَدًا. It's actually a Qur'anic concept. Allah says, tells us to pray that perhaps my master will guide me all the way to closer. I'm using all the way on purpose. The lam is for ghaya. What does that mean? To Allah, you getting closer, not the closest, not to the end. You making it closer to guidance is the eventual goal. If a human being dies pursuing betterment, not perfection, just betterment, they have led a successful life.
So what about the last 10 nights? What is the most productive thing you could do in the last 10 nights of Ramadan?
Last 10 nights of Ramadan to me is just ibadah, ibadah, ibadah. Forget the world, just you and God and His Word. Recite as much as you possibly can. Memorize as much as you possibly can. Spend time at the masjid as much as you possibly can. Seek forgiveness from people. That's a spiritual exercise. Seek forgiveness from people as much as you possibly can. Forgive others as much as you possibly can. Think in your mind about people you've got a grudge against for years. Make a list, write it out, your hit list, and call those people and make amends with them. And think deeply about who you may have offended, realizing it or not realizing it, and make amends with them. This is the time to make the most of, just refining yourself is not just about being spiritual and praying more. It's also about fixing your relationships with other people, right? Especially with family. Start with family, work towards close circles, then work towards business affiliations, etc. There's a ripple, right? The people closest to you, all the way to the people furthest from you. And so, too often we talk about how we have to be productive in the community and we have to do political activism and social activism. That sounds great. I mean, I agree with it entirely, but that's out here. There's a lot of stuff that's messed up right here that you're not even looking at, You're not even, like acknowledging your mom. You're not even being kinder to your dad. When's the last time you gave him a hug? Something simple like that, This is how last 10 nights is about, to me, it's about extra, reflection on oneself and where their gaps are in life and what they should be doing to improve them. Similarly with our non-Muslim neighbors, last 10 nights is a time for you to share this joy of Ramadan with them. Give them gifts. Give them, share food with them. Let them know if they ever have any questions, they're free to ask you or whatever, We should engage, and because, I say that, why specifically I mentioned non-Muslim neighbors? Because the ayah says, هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ. Didn't say هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, هُدًى لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. That's in the beginning. When he said Ramadan, he said هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ. So this is a time to maybe even share the blessings of this guidance with other people directly and indirectly. Just the fact that, Muslims are going to be in the presence of other non-Muslims, just their presence might have an impact. They might just say, wait, these people aren't as crazy as I thought they were, But what are you guys doing? Just that. And then you could fulfill هُدًى لِلنَّاسِ وَبَيِّنَاتٍ مِنَ الْهُدَى وَالْفُرْقَانِ, So that's what the last 10 nights are about, just kicking it in high gear and ending on a high note. Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Awesome. And what's the biggest positive change any particular Ramadan has brought to your life from the previous Ramadans?
Oh man, Ramadan's changed my life entirely. The biggest Ramadan, I would say I was 18 years old. I was in Queens, and they had Taraweeh, but they had somebody come in who would, after the Taraweeh, they would actually translate everything that was recited, ayah by ayah, right? And they would pray 4, and then he would translate the 4 and explain them briefly. That would take about 45 minutes. Then they'd pray 4, and he'd go like that, and they'd go until 12:31 in the morning, right? And he would translate in such a flow, because he didn't have a translation in front of him. He was just translating off the cuff, right? Wow. And I didn't know any Arabic at the time. So I'm listening to this and I felt like, man, I mean, I forgot that he's talking. I just remember Quran talking, you know? And for the first time, I felt like Quran is a conversation between God and humanity. I felt, because when you're reading a book, it's a book. But when you're hearing it, it's a conversation. And originally the Quran was what? It was heard, right? So I was so mesmerized by the Quran as a conversation. I said, I need to learn what you just did at the end of that month. And he said, why don't you just learn Arabic? I was like, okay. And then I started learning Arabic, and here we are. So it started in Ramadan, you know. SubhanAllah.
SubhanAllah, definitely. And the final question is about, so you had a great month, inshallah, you know, you've gone through these changes, you've done all the spiritual upliftment, and then Ramadan ends, and then sort of that, you're going through that again, that slump again after Ramadan. How do you overcome them? How do you stay consistent after Ramadan? The questions that we always get.
To me, there is no such thing as a slump after Ramadan. Ramadan is this high. You should ride that wave, dude. Ride it out. Set goals in Ramadan that you don't finish in Ramadan.
SubhanAllah, awesome.
Set goals that'll take another month to finish, another 2 months to finish. Like for me, memorization goals, right? I memorize some things in Ramadan, but I actually set a goal. Okay, I'm going to do these surahs. But I know they're not going to be done in Ramadan. And so it's not going to stop.
SubhanAllah.
You see what I'm saying?
Awesome.
The same way, like, sleeping habits, like I keep emphasizing, to me, actually, a person's life can completely transform based on how they use their time and how they sleep.
True.
Right? If they could fix their sleep schedule, they can fix a lot about their life. You know? And that's why inna salata kanat ala al-mu'minina kitaban mawquta is important. Like, pray Isha and go to sleep. Don't have a late night. It's okay. Don't watch stuff. You're gonna wake up groggy. You know, your mind's gonna be busy even when you're sleeping. You're gonna wake up exhausted. The sleep won't mean anything. You're not gonna be productive this way. So the prayer schedule in Islam, it actually teaches you a pretty productive lifestyle, right? So that's what I would emphasize more than anything else. And if one can keep that up after Ramadan, the best way to keep up motivation, in my experience at least, has been being around people that are highly motivated, or people that are that keep you from going into a slump and you keep them from going into a slump, so you kind of become each other's sparring buddies. Wow. You know, so you keep the guard up, and inshallah ta'ala that will be a good way to ride that wave and take it into what it's supposed to be. By the way, this is my concluding comment. So Ramadan is 30 days. The Quran says that fasting used to be less days than this. Okay. But because the Quran came down as a commemoration of this month, this revelation, which came down in one night, inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr, one night. So you should celebrate one night. Fast one night, the night that it came down, Laylatul Qadr. But this revelation is so powerful that Allah gave us 30 days, which is supposed to be harder than one night. But He says He wants ease for you. So first, I'll give you more, but I'll make it easy for you. Now, what is this? What is this 30 days supposed to be? I'll tell you what it's supposed to be. You know, if somebody joins the military, or somebody joins the police academy, or the fire department or something, they have training, right? And that training is rigorous. It's a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is, and then they graduate. And then there's a graduation ceremony, and then they hit the real world. Right? Then they are actually going to face a real fire, not a mock fire. Then they're going to be on the battlefield, not a mock battlefield, like a virtual battlefield. You see what I'm saying? Then they're going to have to use their gun, maybe in a real crime situation, not at a gun firing range. You see what I'm saying? Now, Ramadan is actually divine training. I'll take shaitan out of the picture. I'll train you on how to navigate your life with guidance. And as soon as that month is done, now let me throw you into what?
Real world.
Now your real test begins. You see what I'm saying? So this is actually training to propel you for life. Your test didn't get over. Like the attitude that now we're on a break is like saying, the guy who just did all his training, finally it's over. No. Now you start work. Now the work began. This is a mental shift, right? We have to face our true self. We have to face the shaitan who's going to be a qareen, who's constantly there making whispers. Now you're ready to face him because you're empowered with revelation. You're empowered with the word of Allah. You know?
SubhanAllah. So the man, we could stay for a long time. Jazakallah khair. Really appreciate your time.
You got it.
Jazakallah khair. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And for more from Ustad Na'man, please visit Bayyinah.tv or download the Bayyinah podcast from iTunes. Inshallah, you learn a lot from it. Especially you can learn a lot from Quranic, Arabic, and some Tafsir through his program. Jazakallah khair, Ustad Na'man.
Barakallahu
fiik.
Inshallah. Let's have a productive Ramadan.
Inshallah.